Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Matthew and this is Stop Drop Game. So today we're going to be checking out a game called Turmoil that was developed and published by a game studio called Gamius, so Gamious. And the game's been released on Steam. It was released on the 2nd of July of this year, 2016. So it's been out for about 2 or 3 months. It's got a very positive reaction on Steam from the people who've played it and reviewed it. So it's $9.99 US at the moment. Now, Gamius is actually responsible for a physics-based platformer called IO that they released in the end of 2014 that also got a very positive reaction from the gaming community. Turmoil takes a bit of a different direction, or a completely different genre, and is actually an RTS resource mining and management game. Basically, the goal, the goal used to be to make us the most amount of money possible. But the recent update has actually introduced a feature where you buy shares, and the idea behind the game is to actually buy over 50% of the shares that are available for sale, and by doing that, you actually win the game. So we're going to go through and have a bit of a look now. I've actually played the game from start to finish previously, but I'm going to dive into a brand new game here. Now, when you initially start the game, you only have normal to access. Expert is unlocked by going through and completing the game, but I'm just going to play on normal. I'm going to go with Joshua, and we'll go with normal, and we'll take it from there. So this is the starting area of the town hall, and buildings will get built over the next couple of rounds. So we've got the mayor here. So, hi there, future oil baron. Welcome to my soon-to-be lovely town. The oil industry will be booming here, but let's get to work. Click on the wagon, and I'll show you the basics of oil drilling. So it's all pretty straightforward. This is Jill. Now, every time that you do go and dig for oil, you normally get charged 2,000, or you'll normally spend 2,000 to go mining the oil resources. And it's just a bit of a quick tutorial going through initially. So I'm just going to power through some of this. But basically, these are the oil dowsers. They actually go through and find oil for you, and then when they have found oil, they'll actually stand there and wave their hat, and they actually whistle and that kind of stuff at you. So the sound on that is a little bit low at the moment. Let me just have a look. Settings. There we go. Sorry, the sound was muted. That'll do it. So basically, they'll whistle at you when they've found oil. Now, the oil may not be directly beneath them at this stage because it's a tutorial. It sort of points out where it is. But when they whistle, it could actually be anywhere within this sort of area. So sometimes you do need to search around for it. That really becomes more apparent as you go through and play the rounds more, and get into later rounds when you do have to search for the oil a little bit more. But for now, it just sort of points you directly towards it. So, you struck oil, hey! But where should you take it? To left ink, of course. Select the horse wagon icon. So the wagons transport your oil back and forth, and a little bit later on, there won't only be left ink, there'll also be right ink, and you can actually choose which one to sell to, depending on how much oil they have, how much they're buying the oil for, or you'll even be able to stockpile the oil if the price is too low. I tend to try and avoid selling anything below, say, about 90 cents, purely because we're gonna chuck a couple more down here, purely because it's just not worth the money and effort that you put into it. So So now I'm going to chuck a couple more dowsers down here to try and find more oil. Now, it'll also tell us a little bit later that you can actually speed up by holding down the X key, or there'll be a button that pops up here. You can actually do it from the very start, so I'm just going to quickly speed through some of this. So, now to begin with, you can unlock, I believe it's 15 wagons to transport oil back and forth that can then be upgraded to 25 and later on upgraded again to 40. So, and it's the same with most of the elements of the game. You can upgrade the pipes as far as how wide they are, the oil rig as far as how much they can hold before they overflow. You know, there'll be later stages where you have to dig through rock and that kind of stuff as well. Now you'll notice that these the dowsers haven't actually whistled or anything at me, and he's probably going to walk off screen. There we go. So when they do actually walk off screen, it means they haven't found anything. Now after you've upgraded them to the level 3 for their dowsing, if they walk off screen, it means there's actually no undiscovered oil in the ground at all, and that way you can know that you have found all the oil available. It's more relevant for the later rounds, but it's just a handy little tidbit of information to know. So, okay, so nice work. Let's head back. So good job. Now it's time for the real work. Come to the town hall to meet your rivals and get yourself a parcel of land for your next venture. So basically, from here, we go to the town hall. Then we're going to go to the world map to meet the rivals. Now I'm just going to skip through all this. Now we actually get assigned a plot of land to us for the first round, but every round after, it'll actually be a little bit of a drafting or a bidding process where we actually bid for land in all these different squares based off of how much oil was mined previously and where we think there's going to be a lot of oil, and depending on how many people want to bid on a certain part of land, depends on how much it'll end up costing. So, okay, so this is William at the bank. Now, the bank will provide us with loans, and later on, when we get access to being able to mine diamonds or find diamonds, they'll actually buy diamonds off of us, and they offer different amounts for the diamonds at different stages. It tends to be completely random, but that just sort of happens a little bit later in the game. Alright, you know the drill. Hire dowsers to find oil and build a rig to drill straight down to it. So I'm going to buy 4 to begin with, and I'm going to buy a wagon so it's ready to go. I'll hold down the X key. Okay, so we can see that all 4 of them have found oil. So we'll start by drilling down here, and sometimes you do have to search around a little bit to find it. It can be a little bit tricky. There we go. So that one was a bit deeper down. So, and here we can see what I was talking about before about being able to store the oil. So it's under that sort of 80 to 90 cents. Like I said, I normally prefer to sell it, hold on to it till it's above 90. So we're actually going to... it's not going to let me. Okay. I actually wanted to put it there, so it wasn't directly over where he is, because otherwise I'll have to build an oil rig off to the side, but it's part of the tutorial sort of setup. It's not going to actually let me do that, but that's okay. So let's pop that there. So now this is the banker letting us know that we can actually buy or borrow funds from the bank during a level as well. So if we do run low on cash, we can do that. But there's always going to be a bit of a percentage that they take. So now that was just Carl from Left Inc saying the price of oil will fluctuate as the round goes on, and you can actually click these up and down arrows to select more wagons to sell oil to left or right ink depending on what's going on. So yeah, so at the moment levels are time-based. Levels are time-based through the entire game. With this, the level ends on March 31st, so it's only 3 months long. That will actually extend out to 12 months as the game progresses. It does extend out fairly quickly. I think it's about 3 or 4 rounds for it to extend out to that full period. So here you can borrow money from the bank, but there's a 10% interest per month. So depending on how soon you borrow in the year, depends on how much you have to pay back and that kind of stuff. So now, just going to buy another wagon. I'm going to buy another 2 wagons, and hopefully this price will go up a bit. So get up above that 90 cents. So that's awesome. So now we can focus on starting to sell this oil. So now it's dropping back down again. So now I'm going to set up a second oil rig to see if I can find that. Now hopefully this will go up again. So it doesn't look like it's going to, and normally when there's only a month left, you really want to try and sell as much oil as quickly as you can. Just in the interest of getting as much of it out of the ground. So now at the end of each round, the ground does sort of peel away to show you how much was left, and there's heaps left in the ground. You know, until you get to the stage of playing through an entire year, you're just not going to be able to dig all the oil out of the ground. So, and here it sort of shows how much I started with, how much I earned in my spendings, and my overall profit. So, and it's got a few different graphs as far as the different pieces of information there, if you're into that kind of thing. I mean, I don't really buy into it that much. For me, it's not too important in a game like this. But it does also let you know where you're spending your money. So I really could have cut back on the amount that I was spending on wagons and probably saved some of that money. And then it'll at the end of each round, it'll give you a little bit of an idea of how much profit or loss everybody made. So I actually made a little bit of profit now compared to some of the other players. Now, take into account this does not include the initial $2,000 that you spend to go and mine. So I've actually made a net loss of about $1,700. But it's the early rounds for now, so it's not going to be too much of an issue in regards to that. We'll make that back easily later on. So the gears and bolts here with Fred, he'll actually go through and allow you to buy some of those upgrades that I was mentioning previously. Increasing the width of your pipes increases how quickly it flows out of the ground, which then leads on to how quickly you're able to sell it and that kind of thing. So before buying any upgrades though, you always want to go to the town hall to go to the land auction, because the last thing you want to do is buy upgrades and then not be able to afford the plot of land that you need, because that can put you in debt with the bank, which is going to eat into your profits before you get started. So, okay, here we see we've got 39, 39, 40, and 42. So that defines how much oil was in the ground in total, not the amount of oil mined, but the total amount of oil in the ground for the rounds on those plots of land. Now, normally, oil is normally at its peak up around sort of 50, 52, and at its lowest down around sort of 10. So these are fairly decent numbers. I think in the last round over in the icy area, there are a couple that I saw last time that got up to 60, but we may see if that does or does not happen. So these two have both been bidding for these areas. Now I'm just going to bid here, because all these starting areas tend to be fairly decent anyway to get you off to a good start. So I've done that, I've spent the money on that. Now I'm going to come here and actually buy... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy branch 2. Now this actually lets me link multiple pipes to a single... actually no, I'm not going to do that until I've upgraded the width, because it'll still restrict me as far as that. So I'm going to upgrade that first. That way I'll be able to pump more oil out of the ground in these shorter rounds, and actually get some money going. So, and as you can see, instead of ending in March, it'll now go through to June. So it extends out to 6 months on the second round. Now, you'll also notice that we've got left ink over here and right ink over here. So this will actually give us 2 different options of where we want to sell. And it can be a little bit tricky to remember to keep track of the oil prices, just to make sure that you're not selling, you know, to the lower pricing company. So, and this is Ono from Right Ink Oil. So now we're going to chuck down 4 of these guys. So this is not the only way to detect oil. We'll actually get 2 other ways that'll be unlocked as the town grows, but these are the ones that we're stuck with early on. So now just get one of those wagons ready to go. Speed this up. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got this guy in the middle. I tend to like to try and get one in the middle to begin with, and that's just letting us know that we can upgrade the pipe capacity, which lets us pull oil out of the ground at a quicker rate. So, okay, we've hit that there. Now I'm gonna buy a silo and pop down there straight away and get more wagons. Okay, so this is up above the that 90-cent mark. So we're gonna start selling to that. Now, when you do buy more wagons, you do need to come over and actually increase the number of wagons that are selling as well. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. So that can be another one of those things that people forget to do. I know I have, and sometimes you want to slap yourself because of the profits that you end up missing out on. So this is dropping down below 90 again. So we're going to drop that down, so they'll come over and actually store it there. Now, while they're doing that, I'm going to set up a couple more rigs and see if I can't find these other lots of oil. Okay, so now what's happened here is that oil that was there has actually run dry. So what I might need to do, okay, so that's hit 80. Now I am really desperate for some cash, so I'm going to sell that. Where is it? Oh, there it is. So you'll actually see the edges of where you can mine oil and that kind of stuff from. Now we're going to go through and try and upgrade these and get this oil out of the ground as quickly as possible. As you can see, we are in the last month, so and that right there is what I was talking about. It's very, like, this was down at 60 cents, whereas this was up around 90. It's very easy to do that and really lose focus. So, oh, there was heaps of oil everywhere. So, again, if I had more time, I would have been able to suss a lot more of those out and actually make a much larger profit. So, as you can see, oh, some of these guys have done a lot better than I have. But that's okay, it's early days yet. So now we've got the workshop and we've got Edward. So Edward goes through and does a bunch of stuff to help us out. So one of the things that Edward does is he's got the molds, which I'll go through and explain in the next round or two. But they really open up some good areas for you to check out and really give you better access to what you're looking for. So now what's going on here is I initially clicked up here and it put a bid in for $1,000, but Blanche wanted that, so she's actually willing to pay $2,000 to get access to it. Now, given that it's the closest one to the 43 here, I'm actually going to bid higher again. Okay, so she's decided that she doesn't want to pay $4,000 to access it, so I'm going to pay $3,000, and that brings me down to $5,000 there. Now, I don't really have anything that I can buy for the $5,000, so that's okay. So we'll pay our $2,000 and we'll go and try suss out some more oil. Okay. And as time goes on, you can increase the depth these guys can go down to. Okay, so we're going to build one here. Okay, so that looks like a pretty decent sized one. Now I'm going to buy a bunch of wagons and try start selling over here as quickly as possible. Get an increase in some of that that money that we've got. I'm also gonna buy a silo and just pop it there for when this does sink down again. Okay, so we've got a pretty decent amount of money squared away though. So we've got another fairly large one here. So let's pop that down, and I'm actually going to build a second silo. You're going to end up being able to upgrade these silos as well to increase the capacity of what they can hold, which again is going to make life a bit easier. So okay, so we'll get that. Now I'm going to dig down for this one over here, see what we can get out of that. Okay, so I've actually hit my limit on the number of horses, or the number of wagons that I can put together. So at this stage, I'm just going to increase the level at which they all dig out the oil. Now we can see that those two have run dry. So that one's, oh nice, that's just managed to hit that. Whoop, starting to sell at a lower price than I want to. Now I'm actually going to throw down another dowser because we've found all 4 of the previous sets of oil. Now he's actually found more oil over here, so we're going to dig over this way and see if we can't find it. Oh, went straight past it. So I'm going to see if I can dig out as much oil as possible from here as well. Okay, and we can see that it's sort of littered all over the place. So, but this is going to give us a solid profit margin. Whoop, a solid profit margin. As you can see, we started at 2,000, and it's going to put us well and truly back on track as far as our spendings. So, and we well outdid the others, so that's awesome. That's going to give me more to work with in the future. So now we've got Raina over here. Now Raina's responsible for the wagons and the horses, and can actually help increase the size of the wagons that tow everything back and forth. So let's go do this land auction. And yeah, as you can see there, that was the plot that I selected, which well and truly panned out to be worth the money that I spent on it. So I'm going to go up here again, and no doubt one of these will try and probably steal it off me. There we go, that's right. I'm willing to spend a bit on here. Okay, so we've got this one again. So we've got 43 that was down here, another one here, and 41 there. So this should be a fairly decent plot of land. This may drop off to say about 38, just like this one has over here. Like there's always that possibility that it does dip sharply, but normally it's a sort of fairly gradual shift. Like you can see, sort of 39, 40, all the way up to 43. Let's see what we can do. So any purchase that I can make. So now I could increase the silo size that I have. That would be very beneficial for me. I or I could increase the depth that they dig down to. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to get the moles because they're going to allow me to go through and find a lot of that oil that I have been missing previously. And for me, they're actually well worth the money. So here we can see the moles. Now what these do is these actually go through and will dig out individual triangles of land, but they'll dig it out over an area. Initially they dig out 6 to begin with, and then you can upgrade them to 9 and then 12 by the end of the game. So they do become a very valuable resource, and you can see this little orange bit in this corner. It means they've actually found some oil there, and that's been verified by that dowser there. So I'm going to set up one there purely because I know it's right there, it's easy to find, and that's going to let me start getting some oil. Now I'm going to pop a silo down in. Whoop. I'm going to pop a silo down in here as well. Now we'll start selling over to Right Ink just to get a little bit of money generated, and hopefully that cost will sort of hover around there or hopefully go up. Okay, so it's slowly dropping down. I'm gonna go down at we'll stop at 80 cents. Whoop, hang on, it's going back up again. Oh, that's handy. Now it does look like this is a fairly small one that we're looking at, so I do want to try and get more going as soon as possible, and I'm going to send a couple moles down to dig further down in the D1, and there we go. So that mole has instantly found one that's down there, so I know exactly where it is, which is going to make life much easier for me. And it looks like a fairly big one, so I want to let's swap over to that. So I want to get a rig set up for that, or a couple of rigs set up for that really quickly, so I can mine as much out of that as possible, because that's going to make me a lot of money. So I'm actually going to set up a second rig as well, right next to it, just because I can't build multiple branches off at the moment. I spent a little bit too much money on there. So let's upgrade that. Okay. Now it looks like I might have to sell a little bit of oil here because I'm starting to run out of space. So we'll sell a little bit of oil. Get a second silo set up, so that way we're not wasting oil. Now, there's one thing that you do need to pay attention to is if we're last month, so let's try and sell as much of this oil as we can. One thing to pay attention to is if these actually build up, and a little timer will come up here, and they can actually end up overflowing. And if they do, you actually end up getting fined at the end of the month for the amount that it's overflowed. So, and there were 2 massive ones there. So, unfortunately, we just didn't have enough time to mine it all and sell it all. Otherwise, that would have made us a huge profit. That's okay. It's still early days. We actually haven't opened up to having the full 12 months. So now, this is Daphne's bar. Now Daphne is actually really beneficial. She'll have people at the bar like Ono and whatnot who will offer you certain deals, and like this for example with Right Ink. So if I was to pay for this, Right Ink would actually keep the price at 96 cents or above for the entirety of next year. Now I believe this is the first year where it goes for full 12 months. So what I'll do is I'll go to the land auction, see how much land is going to cost me. So we're still in a fairly rich oil area, so what I'm going to do is it's now going to cost 2,000 as a minimum, but what I'm going to do is see. Okay, so it's cost me 2,000. So in order for me to take up that offer and still be able to go and mine for oil, I would need to borrow about $5,000. So let's have a look. So if I was to do that, it would actually cost me 20% interest. So let's see, 20% of 5,000. So 1,000. Yeah, so it cost me $1,000 to borrow 5,000, which I'd then have to pay back at the end of the year. Now, given the price of oil being at 96 cents, I'm actually going to do that. Okay, so it's actually gone up, which is unfortunate as I've borrowed more, but that's okay. It's still only going to cost me about 15 to 1,800, and I'm okay with that because I know that I'm going to make quite a bit of money back in regards to this. So let's go and mine out. So okay, now it's going to go for a full year now, which is exactly what I wanted to see. This is going to basically ensure that I'm not going to run short on time. I'm going to be able to dig out a lot of that oil that I was not able to dig out previously. So hopefully, with this being the first full year, I'll be able to go through, mine all of that out, and make a decent profit. Now I'm gonna bring the episode to a finish after this season, and we'll carry up after this. We'll carry up on with following seasons in the next episode. But we'll get this squared away. And okay, so we've actually got 4 different ones waving at us. So gonna go with the center one first. Okay, so I've hit that. So it's nice there in the center. So this is selling for 96 on the right hand side because of what we bought earlier. So I'm basically going to continue selling to right ink throughout the entire round, unless left ink does actually go over that price. So I'm not going to worry about spending money on silos, purely just because I don't think I'm going to need it. Okay, and that's where it talks about that fast forward, which I've been doing by holding down the X key. You can do that with the X key from the very start. There's no restriction on that. It lets you do it from the very start, but it doesn't actually tell you about it until now. So let's buy some more wagons and get this all moving as quickly as we can. Start turning a bit of a profit, so I can then go through and dig down to those other ones. Now I'm going to drop down a couple of moles around the place just to see if I can unlock some more and see what's going on. Okay, so we've revealed one over here, one down here, and one over here. So this oil is dry already. So I'm going to dig that all the way down to there because that oil is already set up. And there's one down over here that I've spotted. So the moles can be really beneficial because they will show you out little locations of where the oil is, and sometimes they'll even spot stuff that you had no idea was there to begin with. So let's build up and dig down to this one as well. So, and I want to try and upgrade these as quickly as I can. Really focus on getting that oil out of the ground. Okay, so I've actually hit my herd size, so I need to be a little bit careful with that. So let's get them over here. We'll upgrade both of those and upgrade that. Okay, so now one thing to note, while you are going through and upgrading a pipe, because it is going through and being upgraded, it'll actually stop mining while that's happening. There are upgrades later on in the game that cause those to happen quicker, but it's just a case of realizing that it is going to take a little bit of time. Whoop. And here we can see that I've got that spillage going on, which is obviously a bit of an issue for me. I don't have enough wagons, so that's probably going to be the next thing that I do go through and try and upgrade. just to make life a little bit easier. So it was probably a little bit of a mistake going through and mining as much as I did, but that's okay. Now William's come through and let us know that if we think that we've gone through and discovered all the oil that's in the ground, we can actually go to the finance menu and sell back our land lease to get a little bit of cash back, and we actually get a bit of a bonus. We get a bonus of 1,000 if we sell before December. If we've mined all of the oil out of the ground, we get 1,000 bonus. And if we've actually managed to sell all that oil, we get 1,000 bonus as well. So if you can do all three of those, you actually get a bonus 3,000 just for being really efficient and getting it all squared away nice and quickly. So I'm not sure whether or not that's going to happen in this round, but we'll see how it goes. Now, the other thing to notice is, to pay note to is as the rounds go on. So all these are now dug out. So now we've got a couple more over here. So I'm going to dig down to this one. As the round goes on, the ground actually slowly moves up to reveal more patches of oil, and this lets you dig deeper down and discover more oil as time goes on. So now I'm just going to use a dowser here, purely just to show the sort of depth that it goes down to. Now, as you upgrade these, they will go down further. Now, I've still got this guy over here waving about, so that one that the mole found is obviously not the one that this guy was referring to. So I'm going to dig over this way, and I'm also going to drop a couple of moles there just to see if I can find anything. See, there we go. So there's actually that one there, which I could have missed. So that one's all dug out. Now we're going to upgrade these ones as well. And I'm going to dig a small one down to there and start digging that out. So it's it's a lot going on the screen at any given time. Now again, if he can't find any more within that range that he's going down to around there, he's going to walk off screen, and it just sort of lets me know that there's no more floating around in that area. So until I do upgrade those dowsers to level 2 and level 3, I tend to stick with the moles for the deeper drilling, just because, you know, they do. I mean, I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through using the moles, so they tend to have a pretty good turnaround. I'm selling at a much lower price than I could be. Now again, you can see the advantage of me borrowing that money from the bank initially. You know, I'm sort of up at 23,000. You know, hopefully we'll be up around 30,000 by the time we end the round. Maybe even a little bit higher if we're lucky. It all depends on if we can get this oil out of the ground. So it doesn't look like there's any more oil reserves in the ground here, and it does look like I'm going to get that all. And okay, so we've sold it all, so we've got 30,000. I'm going to go actually stop the level early. I missed one. I missed 2. Well, look, that's how it plays out sometimes, but I still made a fairly tidy profit. Now, the bank debt that we had was from the 5,000 that we initially borrowed plus the 30%, so I had to pay back 6,500. Now, from the spillages that I got before, I actually got fined 2,100, and I spent 11,000. But it's alright, because I still made an earnings of close to 40,000. So it's left me with a profit of 21,000, which is pretty solid, and I dare say that that's going to give me more profit than anyone else. Yeah, there we go. So you can see how spending money can be really important to sort of go through and make more money in the future. It just sort of depends on weighing up what's going on, the pros and cons, and looking at what the potential land value is, how much you think the land's gonna turn out for you. Now you can get Mayor's tips here by going through and buying these. They're fairly cheap. They just give you some basic information on how the game runs, some general tips and rules, and guidelines on how to mine more efficiently. Some of them are fairly intuitive, some of them are things that let you play more efficiently and you wouldn't really think about until it's suggested, so it can be worth buying them. As it goes through and the new areas get unlocked, like we're in the forest at the moment, so these are 25 each, then there'll be 50, 75, and then finally 100. But look, they're all worth buying at least once when you play through and looking to see how it goes. So look, at this stage I'm gonna end the episode here, and so this has been a look at Turmoil. When we come back, we're going to look at a continuation on from here, sort of looking at what upgrades to buy and you know what to do then. So again, you know, this is probably going to be something that I'm going to buy because I've already got the money for it. But we'll have a look at that when we get back and basically continue on the next episode. So until then though, I've been Matthew for Stop Drop Game, and this has been Turmoil. Peace out.